Hello and welcome to the TitanRepairs channel. On this channel, we repair and refurbish our favorite consoles from yesteryear. I have a Genesis 2 here, and it's got some issues, so let me introduce to you what's going on with this. Alright, so this Genesis 2 here I purchased off of a parts and repair lot from a friend of mine's brother. For the most part, this thing does work. If you caught my last video where I did the unboxing of the screwdriver, this will be a little familiar to you. So the first issue with this is the solder joints on the power port are broken. So you have to kind of hold the power jack just to get it to stay on power. And then even if you do, there is some weird things going on the screen, which I think might be related to a corroded pin on the cartridge reader. So first thing, let's put it on the test TV. I'll show you what I'm talking about. And then what we will do is open this up and go in for a deeper look. And so this is all geared up. I'm going to press the power button. And obviously nothing's happening here. Right, there we go. So you see we got a little bit of weirdness going on there. And then obviously it's just kind of like a jumbled mess. Now this could be a couple different things. It could be that pin, which that's what I'm going to try to fix first. Or it could be a video encoder. I'm not entirely sure yet. So we'll start off with cleaning that and addressing the power port, because once I let go, it shuts off. And yeah, take it from there. All right, first things first, let's flip this over. We got a few screws we got to take out. 4 to be exact. Alright, and with that done, we can just flip this over. Take this off. We don't need this for now, although we will be cleaning this. There's a lot of spider webs and stuff in here, but that's a later problem. Yeah, there's also some things that the spiders ate in there. Alright, so let me zoom you in over here. This is what I was talking about. So yeah, not only is this board absolutely disgusting, but this is that corroded pin I was talking about. It definitely looks a lot more corroded in person, but I think I might be able to clean that up, maybe with just a little bit of vinegar. But yeah, I mean, aside from the fact that this is obviously really dirty, it definitely needs a very good deep clean, which we will be doing. But first, we gotta get this shield off. All right, so there's a number of screws holding this on. Yeah, I think that was the last screw. Oh, nope, missed one right here. All right, now we can take the shield off. Definitely has seen better days. Shove that over there for now. Now we got these 2 screws. I don't think this thing's gonna break them. Maybe a Phillips 2-bit will work. Because I'm pretty sure all of them were Phillips 2. Yeah, this is pretty gross as well. So, yeah, I guess I'll just put this in the pile to be washed, because that ain't gonna help us right now. Plus, we don't need any of that to test this thing out. So yeah, I mean, aside from dirt, I think that this will be totally repairable. But first, we gotta try and get some of this crap off here. Alright, the backside doesn't look too bad, but we'll just give it a quick. Oh man, this thing's kind of dying. I probably should put this on a charger and maybe clean it out a little bit. So hopefully the camera will focus on here, but if you look right here in the middle as I wiggle it, you can see that pin is moving. Yeah, that's why we're getting kind of weird power issues there. Why it's dropping out and why you have to hold it. But that's easy to fix. We'll just go ahead, pull the microscope out, and touch up these solder joints that this power port goes in, and it should be fine. And that'll be the simplest thing off our list of things to fix. Yeah, so we are under the microscope now, and as you can see, yeah, that's a really broken joint. So first thing I want to do is get up some of this old solder. And my wick I did soak in flux, so it should help it flow. It looks like I hit the shielding over here, so I'm going to I'm going to remove this for now. I'm going to clip that, make it shorter. So we are going to put a nice healthy bead on this. So then it doesn't really have much of a chance to break again. I'm sure that'll be alright. So I'm going to touch up this joint too, just in case. And then this one up here should be fine, but we'll just put a little bit more there. Let's let it flow a little better. And this I'm going to just cut right here, right on the end. Because then I'll strip it right on the end, so then I'll strip it where I hit it with the soldering iron. We'll put a little more solder there. And I decided to strip that a little more too. Alright, that should be a little neater. There we go. That should be good. Might have had the iron a little too hot because it seemed to have melted the shielding a little bit there. But what I will do is I'll put a little Kapton tape over that just in case. Let's just clean this spot up first. Yeah, that looks a little nicer. Just put a little piece of tape over here. Just make sure everything's nice and protected. Alright, that should be good. Alright, so this is what we're dealing with here, this pin right there. I think this could be what might be breaking the connection. We'll try to clean this pin up a little bit, best we can. Worst case scenario, I have another console I'm working on that looks like it has a bad video encoder. I can always swap the connector from there because I know that connector is nice and shiny. So let me see if I can just scrape some of this away first before we go into something a little more aggressive. I'm hoping with the pick and some alcohol, that might be all it hopefully will need. Ooh, see that cloud of crap just fly off? Yeah, you know what? It's probably going to be down further too. Yeah, so it does look a little better. Maybe we can get some of this hair out. No, don't go back down in there. I think I need a different pick for this. This one might be too thick. Here's a nice thin one. Yuck. It's gross. Some more way down there. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get it, though. Alright, so there's one more thing I want to do before we go ahead and test it. I want to try and polish these pins up a little bit. I don't have any, whatchamacallit, like a cleaning thing. So what I'm going to try to do is use some very high grit sandpaper and polish these pins up a little bit more. See if that maybe helps a little bit. But for that, I need to get something to wrap around it. So I will be right back. Alright. So I got a 1000 grit sandpaper here, and I cut up a piece of manila folder. Normally I use like a credit card for this, but I'm not going to blast my credit card all over the internet, so this will have to do. So what we're going to do is just press down, up, down, and up. Do this several times. And if you look at it, you can see, get up some of the gunkies. Yeah, if anybody has any other ways that they polish the pins, I am all ears in the comments. So drop a comment on what your preferred method is. This is just mine. I've had very good success with it. But of course, some pins are just like way too far gone. Do a little of this. Let's take a look. Let's pull one of these back. Well, we'll pull the one that's really mad back. It's kind of hard to tell. It does look a little shinier. Yeah, they're definitely looking a lot shinier to me. So let's take this out of the microscope and plug it in and see what happens. Try Mick and Mac Global Gladiators. Yep, nope, same thing. Okay, back to the drawing board. Alright, so where are we at now? Well, my intuition is taking me right here to the video encoder chip. So I think that this might end up being where, around this area, might be where the fault is. So I want to test this chip first. So I did pull up a schematic, and it looks like pin 20 is where the video signal is coming out. So I'm going to pull out my oscilloscope and test that. If that checks out okay, then it could be very well down the line, and there's only a couple other components it can be. So that video signal then goes to R49, which is, where is it? It's there somewhere. Up there it is, that little guy right there. So I'll have to look up the value for that. And then it goes into this black capacitor here. Then it goes into EM2, and then CN1, which is this connector right here. And EM2 is this component right there. So I have the feeling, I don't know, I think there could be a signal issue. Very well could be this capacitor, but let's start by checking the video signal and then work our way downstream from there. Okay, so I'm here with my oscilloscope. Full disclosure, I don't really have a whole lot of experience with this, so I'm still learning a lot when it comes to using this thing. So anything I screw up or any tips or tricks, please leave them down in the comments below. I really want to get educated better on this so I can do better with it and make better content. So I think I have everything I need here. So we're counting back to video, which is pin 20, but it goes 15, 17, 18, 16, 19, 20. So we're just going to count 6 back from here. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Future Chris here. I read this schematic wrong. The pin numbers aren't labeled out of order. They're just rearranged for the schematic. My bad. I'm just used to schematic pinouts on official repair manuals, like the PS2 being in the correct order, so I just wasn't thinking in this case. In this schematic, they've rearranged them for neatness, I'm assuming. So you'll have to count them in order of the pin that you want to test. Anywho, let's move on from the oscilloscope because I've embarrassed myself enough here. I practiced a lot more with this thing since shooting this video. Alright, so I got my multimeter here. This is actually a new multimeter, and so far I'm liking it. Also got this on a Prime Day deal. So we're going to set this on ohms. And we'll just take a reading. We got 74 ohms. We're looking for 75, but that's within tolerance, so that's good. Okay, so the last thing is this capacitor. So let me get out my ESR meter. And just want to zero this out. Alright, that should be good. Alright, so sorry I'm not getting you all in closer, but it should be this component right here. Yeah. Which way is the negative? Okay, it's got to go this way. So this is what we're looking for here. Let's see what we got. Okay, it says good if capacitance is less than 200 microfarads. So what is this? 220 microfarads. So it's actually reading, this thing is not being the best. So, all right, I think really the best thing to do to fully test and rule this thing out is remove this capacitor. Hopefully this cooperates. Okay, I see two relatively clear holes. There we go. Sweet! Like when a plan works out. Usually not this lucky. Alright, I got these little clippy probes here. So let's just put the red one on the positive. Negative on the negative there. Okay. And we'll move this to capacitance. See what we got. $257 microfarads. And this is supposed to be a 220 microfarad cap. So this is over capacitance. Let me see if I have one. We'll throw it in and I guess just see what happens. I mean, that's the best we can do, right? All right, so let's put this in. It's not exact. I did have a 220 microfarad, but it's 16 volt. The original was 6.3, but it should be all right. I was thinking about it. Oh boy, that really doesn't want to fit in there. I was thinking about it. That cap might have been either just in or just out of spec, but I guess we'll find that out soon enough. And it doesn't really fit quite well, but I also do not really want to order more caps if I don't have to at the moment. Alright, the new cap is in there somewhat, so let's plug it in and see what happens. Oh, that is a cold joint, actually. Let's try and touch that up a little better. Still all floppy. Let me take these solder balls off and try again. Okay, move some components out of the way a little bit. Spin these back down. Try that again. You know, I think we have a damaged pad. Yeah, the solder's not sticking at all. This one's fine, but this one on this side, on the negative lead, just always wants to... Just the solder's not sticking, so we're gonna have to figure something out here. Is back to the schematic. Yeah, so yeah, definitely the pads came off there. I noticed the other one was wiggling too. Yeah, I don't really know there's not really much we can do about that. So really the only other thing we can do is tie in the R49, and I think it was EM2. I'll double check the schematic there. So we'll have to tie into this component and this component, which I guess isn't really that big of a deal, but it is what it is. Alright, so it is getting late for me locally, so I'm going to call it a night for now, but for you it'll be instantaneous with the magic of editing. Alright, so I'm back, and first thing I want to do is just kind of clean off the area on this board. It's a little grimy. And we're gonna obviously have to clean off the rest of this board, but for now, put the work in when we can get it working again. Alright, we are back under the microscope here, so just as a review, we gotta tie in here, and we have to tie into the first pin here. So what I'm actually gonna try to do is I'm gonna try to tie in the positive lead on the capacitor here, because this goes through the board and then the pad connects to here. So that's the pad that got ripped out, so we can just tie in here. And I'm going to feed the negative lead through here, and then hopefully tie into the pin here. We'll see if that actually works, or if we need to put a wire in, but we'll see. So the first thing I want to do is take off some of this solder mask just to make it a little easier to tie the lead in. Always Sega consoles I have to do this stuff too. It should be alright. I probably didn't even really have to go down that far, but definitely way more of a spritz than I wanted. Just put a little flux on. Sure, that'll be fine there. I got a finer tip on my iron here. And at least we got a start off point there. Hopefully that's stuck. Should be all right. This might be a little awkward. Damn it, lost it. Alright, I think we got it in. Let's just give it the wiggle test. Oh yeah, that baby ain't going anywhere. Alright, so we're actually pretty lucky here on the back, because we have to connect it to this pin here. We can just bend it over, and then I'll just put a little Kapton tape on top. So let me trim this to size. And then what is interesting is it looks like this solder joint isn't really all that good. I don't remember seeing that before. I wonder if this was when I was desoldering or whatever. Maybe I hit it with the solder wick. I don't know. I'll have to go back through in the footage, see what the heck happened there. But we'll touch that up while we're here as well. So let's put put the flux on there. There. All right, cool. Let me just clean this up. We should be good on this side. That looks a little better. I think I can rest a little easier knowing that it's 100% not bridged. And by the way, too, I just kind of peeked underneath it. The leg of the capacitor is not touching any of those traces. Not that it really matters because they are covered. All right, I got everything plugged in here. Let's give it the old try. Still in the same boat. All right, so clearly the fault is elsewhere on the board. So we got to do a little more digging on this one. All right, so I think that'll be a wrap for this video for now. It's kind of getting a little on the lengthy side. So I'm going to split this up into 2 parts. And in the next video, we'll dig a little deeper into this board and see if we can find the fault. So clearly it is not back here, since we took care of all that already. But I do have some ideas on what might have gone wrong. But if you have your own opinions, I would definitely love to hear them in the comments. So leave a comment down below with what your theory is on what's wrong with this. So with that said, thank you so much for coming along with me on this video. Like, share, subscribe, and all that good jazz. And I'll catch you on the next video. Bye-bye for now.